City Council, family matters, and civil service. All this and more as the Stafford Weekly News starts now. Welcome to the Friday, January 30th edition of the Stafford Weekly News. I'm Randall Williams. This week, we continue our series of interviews with top figures in our city administration. Today, we meet with City Council member Xavier Herrera and learn how he first came to Stafford.
Hello and welcome to another installment of Stafford Scoop, where we get to know our elected officials a little bit better. And today we're with Xavier Herrera. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Good to see you.
Good
Let's
seeing
start
you.
from the start.
All right.
From the beginning.
Yeah.
So where are you originally from?
So I'm originally from Houston, born and raised in the Houston 2nd Ward, and moved to Stafford as quickly as I could.
And speaking of, you lived in Stafford now for over 15 years, right?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
What originally brought you to the community?
My wife, her family is pretty much in Stafford, and when I was dating my wife, fell in love with the community, fell in love with the city, and it was just a great choice.
Well, what makes the community special to you, and what is your favorite thing about Stafford?
Sure. Stafford, I think, is a community unto itself. So, for example, Houston is mentioned. It's really big. It's scattered, and you could live in an area your entire life and not know your neighbor. In Stafford, you know your neighbors. You see them on a regular basis. You go to the same church. You'll see them at Luby's, or when you're at Walmart, or any of the number of restaurants at the Grid or the Fountains. So, I mean, it's more of a homely feel.
Nice. So, SMSD board member.
Yes, sir.
Member of the Stafford Planning and Zoning Committee.
Yes, sir.
And now a city council member.
Yes, sir.
And a founding member of the Stafford Hispanic Heritage Alliance as well.
Yes, sir.
So what motivated you initially to get into local politics?
Well, the way I looked at it started back with the P&Z. I was approached by Mayor Leonard Scarcella, who wanted me to join the P&Z, and reluctantly at that time I did, and served. My background also, University of Houston, political science, and family's been involved in government, public service, in a number of facets for quite a number of years. And I segued from the Planning and Zoning Commission to the school board because 3 of my boys were school age, and they were at Stafford schools, and I felt that I could go ahead and contribute, and I wanted to contribute. Being an active parent, we were part of my wife and I were part of the boosters and the PTO and things of that nature. So it was just more of a natural fit to go ahead and do that. So yeah, that's what we did.
What would you say would be your biggest goal as a city council member?
Biggest goal is that we all work together. We've got to be mindful of our budget, and obviously the economic climate fluctuates on a regular basis, but we have to provide the best city services we can. So whether it's public infrastructure, public safety, and we also have to make sure that, in my opinion, that we provide the best salaries we can and the best equipment we can for our employees. Our employees are the boots on the ground, and just like when I was on the school board, you need teachers in the classrooms to go ahead and educate those students. Well, we need our city employees, whether it's classified or non-classified. In that particular case, public safety and civilian workforce, we have to go ahead and make sure that they do their job and they do it well, and they're not worrying about, obviously we all worry about one thing or another, but their pay raise is comparable to other cities and whatnot, and they know they can go ahead and provide a good amount of money back to their family and whatnot. So that's one less burden for them, but I think the community will reciprocate the benefits of that. So we are not supposed to be a for-profit company. So I want to make sure that we provide our community and our workforce the best we can. So yeah.
Okay. How do you try to work with other council members, even when there's tense moments of, but it's a political environment, as we know, but
Sure.
especially during times of disagreement, how do you try to work with folks?
Well, and it's funny you mentioned that. There's a lot of opportunities you can. One that I'm very cognizant of and very mindful is that I'm one of those that like to work things from the back. And when I say that, we're in executive session, we'll talk it out. I tend to get council members that will call me up every now and again to ask my thoughts on certain things. And also, if you notice, I don't really say much on the camera. I don't go around grandstanding. I don't go doing any of that. You have your show horses and you have your workhorses. I like to go ahead and consider myself more of a workhorse. I'm not going to be one of those that will go ahead and provide lip service. That's not what I was elected to do by the people. The people elected me to go ahead and provide a job and work for them, and that's what I believe I do on a daily basis. I mean, these people, our community, our residents, our neighbors, are first and foremost our bosses. So, I mean, I take that into consideration in everything that I do. So that's how I do it, is just work with the council members, whether it's a telephone call to them or calling up the mayor and asking his thoughts, or sending out emails to our department directors, obviously in accordance with city policy of copying the mayor and whatnot. So, I mean, we all want to work together because when we're one team, we're one community. I firmly believe that.
That's good. Now, you seem to make lasting connections wherever you go, whether it's the school board or fellow council members, city staff, as you mentioned. Why is it important to you to create those connections?
Well, you have to have partnerships in everything you do. Working in the singular, is it possible to get things done in the singular? Well, yeah, but it's going to be a lot harder and a lot more resources expounded when it doesn't need to be. So, it's a win-win in everything that we do. So when, for example, the police department gets their vehicles and whatnot, well, guess what? As not only as an elected official, but as a resident of the community, I benefit from that, because that patrol car will drive around my neighborhood, drive around our businesses, and we know there's not going to be an issue with that vehicle. We know that certain things are going to happen. Working with our business leaders, and if those businesses thrive, well, they're going to go ahead and hire some employees, and hopefully when they hire those employees, they're going to hire Stafford residents. Those businesses getting more business will then, of course, provide more sales tax, more revenue back to the city. So, I mean, it's a total win-win in everything that you do and everything. So that's what I think of as partnerships, and how can we go ahead and benefit. It's the masses and how we all can benefit.
And I know you do a lot of volunteering, and it's important to you. So what are your favorite places and ways that you've volunteered, and why is that so important to you?
Community is what was thrusted upon me at a very young age. Mm-hmm. Working on behalf of not just the family, not just necessarily the neighborhood, but just the city and community as a whole. I believe that we have to give back. I was a strong member, and still am, ABC 13 Share Your Holiday Food Drive. Mm-hmm. I was fortunate to have family that cared for me, and we knew that there was food on the table every day. But I didn't realize the trials and tribulations that my family had, to make ends meet, to raise me, to go ahead and educate me. And I'm a benefit of that, and I want to go ahead and give that back to our community. I'm a firm believer in that.
We continue our interview with Xavier Herrera as he talks about his family life and inspirations.
You mentioned your family, so are your mom and dad still with us?
No, sir, they've since passed.
I'm sorry. What are your memories of them as a child?
My mother raised me, my mother and grandmother. My mother was constantly working. So she had 2.5, 3 jobs, if you will, and just trying to go ahead and make ends meet. My grandmother was there with me constantly, tutoring me through school and constantly making sure that I was on the right track. Even when I tried to go ahead and segue in, she'd go ahead and steer me, whether I wanted to or not, you go into the right track. So I really am grateful for the way I was raised and all. I was benefited by my grandfather and my uncles and whatnot, so it was more of a community-driven, family community-driven way of raising me. So yeah.
Do you have some siblings?
No, I don't.
No?
No.
Okay. Well, tell us about your family. Priscilla?
Yes,
Princilla.
Princilla.
Sorry. Princilla and your children Brandon, Devin, and Adrian?
Yes, sir.
Tell us about it. I know you're a proud dad.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. So starting with the matriarch of the family, my wife, Princilla, she and I have just recently celebrated our 35th anniversary being together, and we met in high school, and it was over at James Coney Island. And it was one of those things that kind of flourished from there. Oddly enough, I was the shift leader and she was the cashier, and doggone it, she just went ahead and upset me. Every time I asked her to do something, she just like, excuse me. So it kind of went from there. It was interesting. We do have 3 boys. Brandon is my oldest. He's doing great at his job. He's been there for a while and whatnot. Stafford grad. Devin, my middle son, has a total of 3 degrees now, Stafford grad. He graduated with an associate's from Houston Community College. Back then it was Community College, now it's Houston City College. And he just recently last year, graduated with 2 degrees, one in history and the other in political science. And Adrian is my junior at the University of Houston. I'm a very proud Coug. Myself, but Adrian is double majoring with communication and political science, and he just crossed over from his fraternity, the Sigma Lambda Beta fraternity, and he's doing a lot of great stuff in his own right. So yeah, that's them in itself. All Stafford high school grads.
That's great stuff, man.
One more thing before we go. Interestingly enough, Adrian got his associate's degree before he got his high school diploma. He was one of those. So oddly enough, I remember having some discussions with him, and he's like, well, how is this going to impact me going over to the UH? Because I got my associate's degree before my high school degree. That's not supposed to happen. So I was like, yeah, but that's okay. There's an agreement between the state and Stafford MSD, and you're not the only student that's benefited from that. So
that's a heck of a head start.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And trust me, my wallet appreciated that.
I'll bet. So if you had to pick one, who would you say had the biggest impact on your life so far?
So that's a tough question. As mentioned, I was fortunate. My father wasn't really in my life, but I had 3 de facto fathers, and I had a number of mentors. So, 2 of my mentors, more importantly, was a judge by the name of Armando V. Rodriguez. The other one was Bob Lanier, Houston City Mayor. I had my grandfather, who was a former merchant marine and worked in the oil rigs. My other uncle, Robert Corral, was a United States Marine colonel, full bird colonel, who also was on the White House detail under President Kennedy. But the person, the individual who really, I have to give it's a tie, because my grandmother, my mother were there strongly for me, but the male mirror that I looked at was my uncle Eddie Corral, who served with the city of Houston for 50 years. He was number 4 in the Houston Fire Department, a person of color, and he rose to fire marshal, and then went on to be appointed by former Houston Mayor Bob Lanier as fire chief. You know, he would always, he had a strong presence in my life, and he was also the other one who righted the ship and made sure that I went right, as opposed to kind of veer off course and whatnot. So yeah, you know, I was really fortunate not to just have one model, but several.
Our interview with Xavier Herrera concludes as we discussed his career as a public servant.
So you've worked in community or public affairs for the city of Houston, Harris County, Fort Bend County.
Yes, sir.
How does that experience and how does that translate to your role as a council member for here in Stafford?
Well, you know, the players that are with the city of Houston, Harris County, Fort Bend County are still there. Elected officials may come and go. I always say that I'm renting that chair right over there. Every council member, including our mayor, has an expiration date, just because we're term limited in what we do. But the staff is always still there. The staff is there, and no matter what role I play, I've been very fortunate that public service has entrenched my life. To have those relationships and making sure that we're able to go ahead and whatever our goal is, that we're able to go ahead and get that done, and done in a positive light, whether it's for the entity that I'm working for and or my clients. So we're very proud that we have a really high success rate, and that's just done through the relationships, that's done through a bang-up staff that just will work and grind it out like nobody's business. And I'm very fortunate to be surrounded by a lot of great people.
Now I know there's been many, but is there one instance that jumps out for you that has been the most rewarding part of being a public servant in the city council or here in Stafford?
You know, I'll say this, and that kind of, it placates into a good amount of things here. I can point to times on the P&Z where I remember staff really was telling me that my predecessor would talk it out, and obviously Mayor Scarcella was there, and you know, and I made sure that we chopped that up, because I'm very sensitive and aware of everybody's time, and especially staff's time, and the cost that accrues when we have our lights on and we have the AC going and whatnot. You flip right around during the school board. I served as the vice president for the Mexican American School Board Association, and I'll say this, that prior to my time, the RGV, the Rio Grande Valley area, tend to get a lot of benefits from MASBA and TASB, the Texas Association of School Boards, which was great for them. But when I got on that board and I eventually got to a leadership role, my whole point was, well, I appreciate the RGV. I hail from the greater Houston area, and this individual hails from San Antonio, this one from Austin, and I fought like nobody's business to go ahead and bring scholarships to Stafford. Fortunately, I have to say that Stafford benefited from having, you know, like I said, I fought and was able to get 11 scholarships to Stafford. So 11 students were able to get money to go ahead and prolong their time, and hopefully those parents didn't have to spend as much money, you know, with their children's education. You segue on over to the city council. I really am, I mean, there's a lot of things that we're doing that are good. We also have our challenges. I can't just say we don't. But so far, we've been able to navigate away from having to go ahead and provide a tax burden to our residents. We've been able to segue from not doing that. I mean, obviously that's a challenge. Each year that goes by, there's a huge challenge. We've also been able to go ahead and provide pay raises for our employees, our police officers, our firefighters. You know, one of my biggest, I'd say, regrets is we weren't able to go ahead and get the civilian employees, the workforce, to that full finish line where they should be. Pay equity is an important thing, because I'm very sensitive to the fact that if you lose one employee, you're going to have to hire somebody else. And if you hire somebody else, then that means you're going to have to pay extra to train that person, also pay extra to go ahead and equip that person, whether it's through actual equipment and or uniforms, because, well, I'm a big boy, so I'm one size and you're a lot more thinner, so you're a different size. So that, you know, those are things in itself, but it has to be taken into consideration. So it's always better to go ahead and try to keep and retain, you know, qualified and great employees. And I'm very sensitive to that. So one of my goals for next year and time on is that we provide them the, you know, better pay as well as better equipment. I was horrified to hear that we had a public works truck that was still in active service with a broken window. My understanding that there was an individual operating a backhoe and the claw broke off. And that's, in my opinion, unacceptable. We have to provide the best equipment we have. Our police officers, they put their lives, our police officers and firefighters, let me rephrase that, they put their lives on the line to have a up-to-date vest and tasers or defibrillators is important, bar none, because anything can happen, not just to a city employee or a council member, but also our residents, our students. God forbid something happens, a live action issue occurs in one of our campuses. Everybody needs to have the best equipment possible, you know. So that's one of the things that I constantly push for, and I like to think that we've done some great things on the city side on one area, but we do have some room for improvement. I think that we're getting close to getting there. We're just, doggone it, we're getting close, but we're not all there yet. And that's one of the goals. But we've done a lot. We've done a lot so far.
Last question here.
Yes, sir.
After now several decades away, you're still a very young man, so don't take this.
Well, I don't know about that. I just had a birthday recently, and I was reminded that I'm the old man. I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, I get reminded by my daughters every day. Trust me. But after a very, very long, healthy life,
right,
and you've seen and done everything that you wanted or needed to do, how do you want to be remembered?
I just want to be remembered as an individual who did the best he could for our community, for our city. As mentioned to you earlier on and during our discussions, public service, not public safety, but public service, was thrust upon me at a very early age. And, you know, giving back to our community, giving back to our city, our entity, is bar none the best thing that I can go ahead and leave, and the importance and the footprint to my children, my family, and knowing, and my friends and neighbors. And that's how I wanted to be remembered, is that this is a guy who did what he could while he was there, and he left it in a better place. That's honestly how I feel.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time, Councilmember Herrera.
I appreciate you. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
That's a wrap on our news for this week. Thank you for joining us. For everyone here at Stafford Weekly News, I'm Randall Williams. May all your news be good news.
This program was produced at City Hall of Stafford, Texas, in association with Houston City College.